Hey, so I watched the video from last week, and I was thinking about it, and I think it might be good if you just wear your mask the whole time, just for the sake of the people watching, you know? Yeah.
So Chris, you mentioned in one of your previous videos that you stepped away from the church at one point. And we just talked in our last video about celibacy and about the way that a priest gives himself unreservedly to the church. We use the word spousal in that way. So I'm just curious, there's a time where you're away from the church, but now you are on the cusp of kind of giving yourself to our Lord and to the church in a pretty radical way. So I just wanted to, what's one of the big things that drew you back?
Sure, yeah. Actually, I think community was a really big thing for me, like authentic relationships that I found in an authentic community. And sort of finding that in the church was really, really big.
Yeah, community, I think that's something we all hunger for. I mean, we all come from a family. We all, and we desire that. So, what about the community you were in was so magnetic?
Sure, yeah. So I think my conversion kind of happened at the end of college, beginning of graduate school, and I had just been in a lot of relationships throughout college, both like romantic relationships, but also friendships outside of that, which had a lot of division in them, and lying and deceit, and just there wasn't a whole lot of trust. There was a lot of control. It was just a lot of unhealthy relationships. And then when I was a senior and into graduate school and beyond graduate school now for me, what I have found in the church, in the community of the church, amongst Catholics, are authentic relationships, which are really based in real charity for the other person, in a real concern and care for who they are, for their humanity, for what really drives them, what their passions are, but also they're based in prayer and on virtue and on receiving the sacraments. And I have just found since I came back really that those friendships which I have found, which had those characteristics about prayer and the sacraments and all that kind of stuff, are just, there's almost no comparison between those relationships and the other ones that I've had with other friends prior to that. And so that community to me just really was so enriching and nourishing and life-giving in so many ways that it really just kind of locked me in and drew me, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah.
So now I have to say, I'm going to ask the same thing kind of back to you too, although I know that our paths were a little different. You kind of stayed connected with the church from a very young age, but something must have held that connection for you. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely, as I reflected on that over the years, I think that one of the biggest things for me is the teachings of Jesus, is that when he taught his apostles, he handed on what he wanted them to know, right? He handed on not only his very self, but he gave them moral teaching. He gave them all kinds of guidance about how they were to live and about how they were to love one another, right? So, and I think one of the really awesome things about Jesus is that he showed in a really definitive way that love and the truth are actually the same thing. And so one of the things we just observe about ourselves, right, is that we have a desire for the truth. And so I think that desire for the truth that's in all of us is something that he fulfilled. He showed that is fulfilled in love. And so so I would say that that's a huge aspect.
Sure. And I feel like there's got to be I'm sure that goes deeper for you because you've stayed connected to the church, and you're saying because of the teachings and because of how true they are, and that must have had that must do something for your life.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a really good. Yeah, that's a really good insight, and I think that one of the things that the truth does is it orders, right? The truth orders things, and so I see. I think that all of us have had the experience of. You were a physics guy, so all of us have had the experience of working on something, trying to figure something out, and then when we finally come to the truth of that thing, there's this great fulfillment that we feel, right? Whether it's a math problem or whether you're somebody somebody like an investigative journalist or something, and you're looking for the truth and you find it, right? There's this moment of really incredible satisfaction, because I think that's just something that's built into who we are as human beings, is we desire the truth. And so the teachings of Jesus really show that it is his desire for us to fulfill that,
Yeah.
right? He wants to fulfill that desire we have for the truth. And that's fulfilled in following the teachings that he gave us, right? That's fulfilled by participating in the community of the church, which means a part of that community is living in his teachings, because that's actually, it turns out, how we love people, right? And so in him, as I mentioned earlier, the truth and loving your neighbor come together. That truth is love and love is truth. And so I think that when you live that way, and obviously I don't live that way perfectly,
Sure,
you know,
who does,
like,
right?
no,
Yeah.
yeah, right. I mean, it's a journey, but when we seek to live that way, when we seek to follow him, I think that we find that our desire for the truth that we all long for is really fulfilled over and over and over again as we become more deeply enmeshed in our relationship with him, because he is the truth and he is love. And so I think that's really where such incredible fulfillment has been in my life, and where my desire for the truth has been fulfilled over and over and over again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us. That's
Yeah.
really beautiful. And thank you for tuning in to watch this video. We'll be sending them out every week, so be on the lookout for the next video. Thank you, and God bless you.